Welcome to another fabulous episode of Power Surge, where today we have got one of the most inspirational men that I have the opportunity to interview and to get to meet and know. And this man has done so many marvelous things. He is a motivational humorist. He is a global speaker. He's won multiple awards and things, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But to me, this man is magical and mystical, and I'd like to introduce the magical and mystical Scott Friedman. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Love your energy.
Oh, yes. One thing I have is energy. And you know what? Being with people like you is what gives me energy. And I thank you and thank you on behalf of all of our guests and audience for being on the show today. Let me go ahead and ask a couple of questions before you begin your empowering journey that we talk about. I purposely didn't do a lot of introduction to you because I know that may be part of your journey. But I want to point out a couple of fabulous things that you have achieved and awards that you've gotten, though you have all kinds of fabulous awards from people that have been in your audiences and have worked with you. But one of the greatest ones is the Cavett Award from the National Speakers Association. Anita Kubanes, I always say his name wrong. You know, it's not a hard one to say, but it's hard for me. And you have received the Philanthropist of the Year, correct?
Correct.
Okay, yes. Just wanted to make sure. Well, tell us a little bit about those two before you get into your journey.
Well, the Cavett Award is presented once a year at our annual awards banquet at NSA to the person that most resembles Cavett Roberts' journey. So it's such an honor because Cavett was actually my first mentor in the business. He is really the one who got me in the business. And so that's where I learned the spirit of abundance from Cavett himself, and I've tried to live my life that way. So that was a very nice honor. And the Philanthropist of the Year Award, I think that's probably one for the work I have done over the years since 2008 with Together We Can Change the World. So that's also a huge honor. And Nito's quite a philanthropist, and to win an award in his name is another big honor to cherish.
Well, and it's an honor to have you on the show because you, again, are a man that's accomplished many things. And I hope that we spend more time talking about your philanthropy and a lot of the things that you've accomplished. Now, I know that you spend a lot of your time in Asia right now speaking, and I just love that about you. You're not just a global speaker, but you are a known award-winning global speaker. And thank you again for being on the show. But I would love it if you would just begin and tell us a little bit about your journey.
Well, it all started back in 1984 when I had the chance to hear Cavett Roberts speak at a sister sales organization of ours. So I was president of an organization called, at the time it was called Salesmen with a Purpose, SWAP. But I think they changed the name because they didn't want people to get the wrong idea. So they changed it. They changed it to Sales Professional and Sales Professionals. And Cavett was our speaker one Tuesday morning. And I would start off the meetings with a humorous poem and a little story, and then summarize the speaker's talk in a humorous poem. And on the way to the airport, Cavett told me I had a unique style and I should be a professional speaker. And at the time, I didn't realize he said that to everybody. By the time I figured it out, it was too late. I had quit my sales job, went to work for a professional speaking company as their marketing director. And then in 1985, seems like a long time ago, I went out and I became a professional speaker. So I'm one of those rare ones that really started professional speaking before I had much to say. So I kind of developed content along the way, along the journey. So that's how it started.
I love that. Now, go ahead.
I was going to say, then along the way, the market defined me as a motivational humorist. So, because I use a lot of humor in my programs, but as a motivational humorist, they say, well, what's a motivational humorist? And so if you laugh, it's humor. If you don't, it's motivation. So you always have a way out that way. So it's either motivation or humor. So so I started off doing a lot of after dinner type talks, kickoffs, closings. So I was pretty versatile way before the internet. You could be more than one thing. Now it makes more sense to brand yourself because, when you're on the internet, to pick a lane or to choose a niche makes good sense so that you're known for something. At the time, I was known for a lot of different things and was trying to make a living however I could. But that's how it started back in 1985.
Oh, that's fun. And that was what I was going to ask you, is how you slid into the niche of motivational humorist. And everybody needs to be engaged, and nothing better to engage somebody than to be motivational and to be humorous, because a dry talk it's just the hardest thing to sit through. And so congratulations on doing that. I'd love to hear one of your quotes that people giggle at.
A quote that people giggle at. I'll probably have to tell you a little story then. I think.
Okay, that'd be great. Tell us a story.
I talk about one of my I guess more fun stories when I talk about my dad. When I was younger, I brought home a report card with C's and D's, and he said, "Scott, what is this?" And I said, "Dad, it's one person's opinion. Must we discuss it?" He says, "I think we must. How come Andy doesn't get C's and D's on his report card?" Andy was one of my close friends growing up. I said, "Dad, you can't compare me to Andy. We are so much different." He says, "Oh, are you? How are you so much different?" I said, "Dad, Andy has very bright parents." Took me a while before I could sit down and laugh at that. But no.
Oh, that's wonderful. I like that. I'm gonna have to go and tell that to my mother. My mom's 92, and we just moved in to help take care of her, and she's always looking for things to laugh at. So I told her I'm going to pull up all of your YouTube and let her laugh at those things. You and Janine Roberts and you, both humorous, funny people.
Jeannie Robertson, gosh, yeah, another past president of NSA. What a wonderful lady. I was so sad to see her pass away this past year. Yeah, really, she was the best. Probably one of the very most funny in NSA. Just she really was. I mean, I can't really be compared to her, but just to mention in the same sentence is nice.
Absolutely, you can be compared to her. You are equally as funny, and thank you for your humility. But you are just as fabulous as her, and I really appreciate it. And I love listening to your stories. But I love that story about your dad and the grades. So that was great. Tell us a little bit more about your journey and as it progressed. You got into it basically because you were told you needed to be in it, and you believed them, which obviously it was true because you've done a phenomenal job. So he didn't just say it to everybody. In this case, he meant it.
Well, he did say it to everybody. Some it worked out for probably, and some it didn't work out for. Luckily, it worked out for me. But so from there, I did some sales because I had a sales background. So I did sales talks. I did keynote talks. And then I did a lot of humor in the workplace type programs. I mean, how to use humor as a tool. Wrote a book called Using Humor for a Change. Then a book called Punchlines, Pitfalls, and Powerful Programs, which I rewrote later and updated it and called it Happily Ever Laughter, how to engage in the audience. And so I started in the youth market early on. When I first in 1985, and used to speak to a lot of the vocational organizations like FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, and DECA, and FFA, and so I would do a lot of high school graduations, and really loved the youth market for quite a while. and then I got into the adult market after a few years, and doing humorous, motivational type talks on leadership and again humor in the workplace, and did that. And then in 2004, 2005, I became president of the National Speakers Association. And my big project for the year was a global speakers summit in Singapore. So at the time, as a president of NSA, if you wanted to do an extra meeting, you could add, they would support that. And most presidents didn't, because there was always a lot of work. But I'd always had this dream to do an international speakers conference, and it was really more of a celebration of the industry, where we had a speaker showcase. We invited HR directors, meeting planners, event planners, and we had 300 speakers from around the world in Singapore in 2005. And I'd already done a fair amount of speaking in Asia at that time. That started in the late 90s, actually. Most of my stories start with a girl. I was doing a program on a cruise ship called "What's So Funny About Being Single." So I would do these singles programs that would give me a chance to meet single ladies, and if I could do the opening program, then I would have a better chance, as long as the program was good, of course. Anyway, so I met my cabin steward had just graduated from a hotel restaurant marketing school in Cebu in the Philippines. And I called I thought I died and gone to heaven. She was such a lovely young lady. And this was in the late 90s. And I called my friend who was doing programs with the Singapore government. I said, "Abe, I think I've fallen in love. Is there any chance you could introduce me to your client at the Singapore government?" And he did. And about a year later, I had my first program with the Singapore government. By that time, Maria was her name, was married and pregnant. But I discovered Asia in 1998. So, and that became a big part of my life. And then 2004, 2005, when I had a chance to serve as president of NSA, we did the Global Speakers Summit. And then that even opened up further the opportunity to do global speaking in Asia. And then, of course, when you're doing HR conferences in Asia, it leads to more speaking in the Middle East and around other parts of Asia, because there are people that attend from all over, and then you get spin-off business. And so that really opened up even more of a global business for me. And so now I spend about 125 days a year in Southeast Asia. But about, I guess it's been like 13, 14 years ago, well, back up a little bit further than that. So in 2008, then I started Together We Can Change the World with Janice Stanfield, a good buddy of mine she's from Nashville. And she was both members of NSA, and at the time in 2007, I was speaking to Alcatel-Lucent in Phnom Penh. So the senior Phnom Penh, Cambodia, the senior VP of Alcatel-Lucent at the time wanted to take his 100 top leaders from Asia Pac to Phnom Penh, so that he could teach them that there's a lot more important things in the world than falling stock prices. That was in the stock-com bust. And so we spent an afternoon in the killing fields in Phnom Penh. And then the next day we built houses with an organization called Tabitha. And it was amazing to watch these the new inhabitants, the new homeowners move into their homes, which really still didn't have any plumbing, and but
Right.
Nice enough houses anyway. But I've just to say to ourselves, with what we're used to, wow, what are they coming from that these are such a step up, and but to see their gratitude and how appreciative they were of what we were giving them, and it was just so special, and that's really when I realized, wow, I need to play a bigger game than give back more than I more than I am now. So that's when the impetus for Together We Can Change the World started for me. Janice Stanfield had supported some orphanages in Bali, Indonesia, and we decided to do a speakers tour. So we took 6 speakers over. We found a promoter in Bangkok, and he basically paid for our way over. And we did programs in Bangkok and Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And then we visited along the way orphanages and women's shelters. And it was such a moving experience that we thought, wow, let's do that again. So we did it again, and then we basically, that became the foundation of Together We Can Change the World. So we've been a 501c3 now out of the U.S. so we've been around for 15 years. So that would have happened about 3 years in. So for 12 years, we've been a 501c3, and it's a very unique model. We do 2 speaker tours a year where we bring speakers and most of the time authors as well to Southeast Asia. And right now we serve 6 countries. We serve Cambodia, the Philippines, Myanmar, Thailand, Malaysia, and Vietnam. And so we do 2 of these tours a year where we bring speakers along. We do leadership conferences where we match the business community with the causes that we serve, and then we raise money for those causes. And it also gives speakers a chance to speak in Southeast Asia. And most of it is C-suite, HR directors, that type. So it leads to business for many of our speakers as well, and they can open up the Asia market. And so it's a lot of fun to be able to bring my speaking buddies from around the world to Asia and get a chance to make a difference at the same time. So that's the model. And now we've been at it for 16 years. Hard to believe. And we've done now, let's see, what are we? I think it's our 27th tour, which will start this next month. So, yeah.
Oh, that is wonderful. Now, if we wanted to help out with your philanthropy and Together We Can Change the World, how would we contact you and get in touch so that we can do that?
Well, so you could send me an email or a WhatsApp. My email address is scott@scottfriedman.net. And my WhatsApp is +1 720 261 3534.
Let me put that in there so that we can actually get that on screen. Give me just a second. Is sure. +1, of course. And then tell me the number again.
720 261 3534.
3534. All right, let's get that up so that people can see it. And WhatsApp him at 720 try that again, 261 3534. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I typed it right. You know, sometimes I have dyslexic fingers, and so I don't always type it right. So yeah, no, we'll want to get in touch with you. And the other thing that we have is they can learn more about the organization going to TWCCTW and .org, and they can learn more about your organization that way. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, you can see some of the causes that we serve.
Awesome. Yeah, I love doing that. And I'm going to go in and because I'd love to be involved in that.
Great.
Let me just send this off real quick to remind myself that I'm going to go and serve there. I did a service mission in Peru and Bolivia a couple of times, and it was so much fun and so enjoyable. And like you said, these people come and you do these things for them, and they live in such humble circumstances. And they are so very, very grateful. But I've also found that there are very happy people, and they're not as caught up in some of the things that some of the people we know are caught up in, and it's into monetary gain. If I don't have enough of this or enough of that, then I'm not going to be happy, which is really quite sad. There's enough for everybody to go around, but happiness is a key thing, and that comes down to gratitude and attitude. Have you found that to be true?
Oh, no question. I think the lesson I've learned from Together We Can Change the World is there's people by our standards that have it a lot better, that figured out a way to be miserable, and there's the people that have a lot less than we have that have figured out a way to be happy. And I truly believe that happiness starts with gratitude. That if you're appreciative of what you have and you share it with others, that really is the key to happiness. Because abundance flourishes in a grateful heart.
Oh, I love that. A grateful heart. And one of the things that you help people do having a grateful heart is celebrate. And you are the chief celebration officer. I love that. You've written several books about celebration. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so about 14 years ago, as I was looking for ways to expand Together We Can Change the World and figure out how to best provide speaking opportunities for my speaker colleagues, I switched my brand basically and started writing books on how celebration impacts productivity and performance. And that way it would serve as my calling card to get in these big HR conferences in Asia. And then once I formed these relationships with the promoters, then I could invite my colleagues from around the world as well. So it's been a good model. And the books have done well, and they've served me well. So, and it's a lot more. It's very fun to speak on celebration. So, and how it impacts the workplace. So it's really about creating a happier, healthier workplace. And we define celebration in the books as acknowledging all that is good, the good work that you do, the people that you do it with, the people that you do it for. It's when your to-do list becomes your done list. It's acknowledging the little and the big milestones along the way. So it's really just an attitude or a philosophy about life, the lens through which we see our world. So if we can change our lens, then we can change our life. And that's the real key, is if you come from that place of gratitude, but basically that's changing your lens. You tell yourself different stories, and then you change your life. So I found that to be
Have
very
you ever
effective.
had a chance? I'm sorry. I just speaking over you all over today. Have you ever had the chance to change your lens and see a difference in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have opportunities all the time. I mean, to change our lens, and I am very fortunate to that my lens is well adjusted. But I think to the time I had a heart attack 5 years ago.
Oh dear.
And it was, gosh, what a blessing that the circumstances around it. I was actually just getting ready to go to the Philippines in a couple days. Had just come from a party, and my body started talking to me in weird ways, and I thought I was having a stroke. And I Googled symptoms of a stroke, and I had some of those symptoms. So I called Uber, and wouldn't that 911 may be the best bet, but hey, I wasn't.
You didn't think it was imminent danger, so let's call an Uber. I got that.
Okay, good. But anyway, so I went to the hospital. They checked me out. They said, "No, you're fine, but we'll do an MRI of your head to make sure everything's okay up there." Well, we know everything's not okay up there, just from, if you know me, you know that. Anyway, I came out of the MRI, and then I was sweating. I was sick to my stomach, and the tech took one look at me and says, "You're having a heart attack." So I actually had a heart attack in the hospital, and it turns out I had 99% blockage in my RCA, my right coronary artery, and so I think I'm pretty lucky to be alive today. But that's it does wake you up, and fortunately, I think because I do live in gratitude, my lens was already adjusted in such a way that I immediately went to gratitude. understand many people get depressed when they have a heart attack, or when I went in for cardio rehab, the first three questions are, have you thought about harming yourself? Do you wake up depressed and sad? Do you do you feel, can't remember the third question, but anyway, it was that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I felt fine until now, knowing that I should feel this way. But I realized,
Now that you pointed out, now I'm depressed that I had these options.
happy.
Yeah.
My lens was gratitude. It's, if we look for the gifts in our situation, then there's always gifts there. I like to, I talk about in my programs about how if we look at our past and our present circumstances through the eyes of anger and resentment, it shows up as anger, resentment, and fear in our future. If we look through the eyes of gratitude, it shows up as hope and faith in our future. So if you want to change your life, or you want to be happier, then change your stories, the way that we evaluate situations. So I'm one simple question: what's the gift? If there was a gift or a silver lining, or some miracle in this, what would it be? And so I always look for those things, and so that really, right away, that called me up to, okay, what kind of legacy am I leaving? Life is so precious. We never know. Some people die at 50 and aren't buried till 90, but other people's live all the days of their lives. So how can we really make the most of the life that we have? And I look at the 365 days that we are all given every year, and how do we want to spend those 365 days? I was very fortunate to run into Cabot when I was 24 at the time, and really helped me define what I wanted to do in my life at that time. And now I really feel like I live my perfect 365 days, where I want to spend my time, how I want to spend my time, who I want to spend my time with. And I think that's, being born in the lucky gene club, like I'm sure many listeners on today are,
Yeah.
living in America, or in more fortunate circumstances, that we really can, or more so than some third world countries, where it's not always so easy to live your perfect life. But it starts with choice. It starts with intention. How do we want to live those days? And so I feel very fortunate that I've been able to create that for myself.
I love that. My sister, Heather, the big thing she would teach is that you have to choose to be happy, that you can have a heavy heart, you can have things happen that you are sad about or that you regret. And so you can have a heavy heart, but you choose to be happy, and you move past the heavy heart things and you look at the things to be happy about. And as you look for those things to be happy about, more things appear to be happy. And in listening to you, that's exactly what you're saying, is look at things with gratitude and you'll have more things to be grateful for.
Yeah, it's the duality of life. I mean, we all go through emotions and heartache, and but we don't have to live there. We can choose how much time we spend there, and it's obviously it's not good to sweep our emotions under the rug and pretend that we're not unhappy. But it's just, it's to go through that period of time, but then choose happiness, like your sister says. And I think that's a huge, a huge part of how to keep us well grounded and living in gratitude. So,
if you were to run across a person that said, "But I just have nothing to be grateful for," what would be your advice to them? For there's plenty to be grateful for in life.
So I may say, okay, let's pretend for a second that everything was taken away from you: your family, your job, your home, your health, and then all given back to you. would you have something to be grateful for? We don't realize how much we have until somebody takes it away. It's like we just pretty much accept our health until we're not healthy anymore, and then we're like, oh wow, it was so nice when I had my health. And when we have food to eat, oh, it's nice. If you don't have food to eat, then having food to eat is a big deal. So it's just it's learning to appreciate the little things in life that we do have that we don't really think that we're have any reason to be grateful. But sure enough, if we didn't have those things, we would know real quick that those things are reasons to be grateful.
Yeah. One of the things I heard you talk about once was attitude of gratitude, and I'll paraphrase exactly how I heard it, but it was the attitude of gratitude, and there's always something to be thankful for, even if it's just that you can breathe. And I took that to heart, and I thought, okay, I'm going to practice 10 things I'm grateful for every day. And I remember when I started, my ex-husband just shook his head because my first day was, I'm grateful for and he said, well, are you grateful you can breathe? And at the time I wasn't so sure I was, but I had to go into bodily functions, like you said, eating and things. And it was, am I grateful I can breathe? Am I grateful that I can, see? It's like, yes, I'm grateful I can see. I'm grateful I can use the restroom. I'm grateful I can hear. I'm grateful that I can taste the taste of food. I'm grateful, I had to go into bodily functions, quite frankly. And I got past that to where now, like you, I automatically go to gratitude. And when something dire happens or something that is like, oh no, instead of getting caught in the, oh, why me? Or I can't believe this just happened, I'm grateful for the opportunity to grow and develop. And my mind kicks into, okay, what exactly is it that you're grateful for? And I give credit to you for that. And I appreciate years ago that you said that, and I was able to incorporate that into my life. So kudos to you on that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think it's having a gratitude journal, to writing every morning what we're grateful for, that it reminds us that we have reasons to be grateful. And then it becomes a habit of being grateful. Because it's very easy to wake up in the morning and look at our to-do list and what's not working in our lives, and be depressed about it, or just be anxious or stressed about what we have to do. But if we just start the mornings by just saying, hey, what do I have to be grateful for? So start out before you have a chance to think about what you may have to do in that day. Is just start out by, okay, let's just count our blessings. Because when we count our blessings, we have so many blessings to count. But it's all where we focus our energy and our time. So.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to what you just said a moment ago, where if everything were taken away from you, and it was given back, would you be grateful it was given back? And I think that's something that's important. Okay, folks, I think that's something important for you to write down and start doing those things that Scott has suggested that you do. And find a way to have that gratitude and that attitude that there are things to be grateful for out there. So I really appreciate that. I think that's wonderful advice.
Yeah, we interviewed one of my old mastermind members, Mary Laverty, who wrote a book called Stop Screaming at the Microwave. And I used to have a handle on it, but it broke. Too fun title. And she's had this concept of what she calls the best of the best that I've adopted over the years. But basically, it's when her kids were young and they would sit around the dinner table as a family. She would before they would start dinner, she says, "Okay, what good thing happened at school today? Tell me something you're grateful for that happened at school, or just something you're grateful for." And to start off dinner that way, or to start off your day that way, immediately sets that intention that you're going to have a better day because you're living in gratitude. I look at the Ritz-Carlton has become famous If you read the book, The New Gold Standard, or you see it a lot of places, what they call a lineup, where they start off every single shift all over the world with this lineup where they share positive service moments that either came from TripAdvisor, a hotel evaluation, one of the Ritz properties out of a book, whatever it may be, because they want to make service a habit that you live all the time. And it's too easy when we get into a meeting to immediately complain about what's not working. And if we just spend a little bit of time to be grateful and talk about what is working, then you have so much more energy to deal with all the other stuff that comes up. I remember we interviewed the country manager of Federal Express in Malaysia, and he's a big celebrator, and he would challenge his staff to set these audacious goals, and he would say that, and then they would celebrate the little milestones along the way, and he would have his team imagine and feel the emotions that they would feel having accomplished that task. So they, instead of focusing on what's not working and being short on this deadline, it really encouraged them to focus on that feeling of accomplishment already, and then celebrate those little milestones. I talk about changing the word deadline to finish line. Deadline implies that somebody died in the finish. We finished right on time on Tuesday, but in the process, Kurt and Carla are dead. I mean, that's a heavy price to pay for success.
Yeah, well, your dinner is finished. It's not dead, hopefully. So
yeah. So finish line implies that there's going to be some kind of celebration when you get to the end. So if we change the word deadline to finish line, then we're a little bit more excited as we are in the process of accomplishing that task. So.
Oh, I love that. I really, in fact, I'm going to, Jace, write that one down. Change it to finish line instead of deadline, because I want to bring that up again at the end of the show. I like that. Change it to finish line instead of deadline. I had never considered that. And it's little things like that. It's like, instead of having it be an alarm clock, because that just shakes you and startles you in the morning, have it be your wake-up call, or something that's more pleasant and polite. And I like that with the finish line.
Rise and shine call.
Yeah. My alarm is the happy song, because I'm happy. That one.
Oh, is that right?
That's and great. I love starting my day out with that, because I'm bouncing and happy, and you get to hear, might seem crazy what I'm about to say. And it brightens my day, rather than have that makes you go, holy.
So you set your alarm to that. Oh, that's great advice. I love that. I'm stealing that.
You can have that, steal it away.
All right.
I'm sure I stole it from somebody else. So.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, wonderful. The minute you wake up, you're already you can just kind of feel it as you're asking yourself the question, what do I have to be grateful for today? Perfect. Yeah. Put it to music.
Yeah, you got to love that. We had, your good friend Jim. We had Jim Cathcart on not so long ago, and he sang us one of his songs. Well, actually, two of them. And it was wonderful, because it was a reminder that there are so many things that we can do that lift our spirits. Music is definitely one of them. Music is definitely another one I think really lifts our spirits, though. And it's something that you stand for immensely. And that is with Together We Can Change the World, is serve others. When you serve others, you can't help but be grateful.
Yeah. They're saying the fragrance always clings to the hand that gives roses. So you can't be in service and not feel good about what you're doing.
All right. That's another one I got to write down. Fragrance sticks to the hands
Yeah,
that
fragrance
hold the
clings or sticks
roses?
to
Go clean.
the hand. Yeah, clings to the hand that gives roses.
And that gives. I'm sorry, I don't write faster. Darn it! There's so much I want to write down while you're talking. Fragrance
You know,
clings to the hands that give roses.
yeah,
I
it gives
love
roses.
that.
Huh? Yeah, that's nice. And
Um,
what Winston Churchill's famous line, "You make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give." I mean, that's always been one of my favorites. And then the old Luciana de Crescenza said that we are all angels, but with only one wing, and only by embracing each other we fly. So it's
oh, that is beautiful. That
yeah,
that is beautiful. My sister Heather, full of wisdom, one of her other quotes is leave a legacy. An inheritance is what you leave for other people. A legacy is what you leave in other people. And
that's nice.
that's one of the things you do with your service is you're leaving legacies in people, changing lives. And that's so powerful and important.
Yeah, and that's the one of our mottos for Together We Can Change the World is the life you change will be your own. So we go out there to help others, but really what we're doing is we're helping ourselves. We're changing ourselves because you know, there's no better feeling than helping others. I mean, that's, yeah, I would say most people get their joy out of helping others. Um,
Right.
and when people say, "Oh, you're such a nice guy to start Together We Can Change the World and be involved in others," I'm like, it's really kind of selfish because that's where the greatest joy in life comes from. So might as well live your life in joy by helping others. So it's it's kind of one of the little secrets. So it's not being, it's really more, it is kind of being a little selfish because where I get my jollies.
I like that. Well, now, and that really leads me to the question, and I know somebody else out there is wanting to know this answer too. In fact, all of you are going to be grateful for it. You have an attitude of gratitude. You serve others, and it gives you the jollies. It makes you happy, so you feel like it's selfish. Which, to me, that in itself is telling, and not because you want to be selfish, but because you see that service is self-fulfilling in addition to helping other people. Where do you think this attitude of gratitude stemmed from? Where do you remember first having that attitude of gratitude?
Um, I a lot of it. When I was a senior in college, that was one of my big moments of truth in life. I actually a junior in college, and then it manifested itself in my senior year.
Yeah.
Was I lost my brother? My brother committed
Oh,
suicide. And I was going to school in Spain at the time, and I came home and trying to find meaning in it all, and and my life didn't have any meaning at the time, and then I came to find out the worst things in life have the seeds of the best, and it's how you choose to use them. And my brother was one of the most kind, service oriented, just a loving, compassionate human being, and so at, when he passed away, and I've done this with others that have passed on since I lost my brother, was how, as you mentioned, Heather, the legacy lives in people. So I said, okay, how can I celebrate my brother's legacy? And he had these great qualities. I said, I'm gonna try to be more compassionate. I'm gonna try to be more service. I'm gonna be service oriented, more kind, in honor of my brother, so that my brother could really live inside of me. And I didn't realize at the time how what a gift that was to me, because it gave me a purpose filled life and a life of joy and gratitude because it's so powerful. But it really started with my brother and honoring his legacy, when I really changed from being pretty much a self absorbed middle class, uh, indulgent college kid. So. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear about your brother, but at the same time, I'm grateful to hear the impact that it had on your life, because it's had such an impact on thousands and thousands of lives since.
oh,
And
thank you. Yeah,
so I honor you, and I honor your brother for that.
it's
And
definitely the impetus. Yeah, thank you.
if you were to give us one piece of advice on leaving a legacy in other people, on that whole service industry thing, what would be that piece of advice?
It would have to come back to gratitude, really. Let's see. One piece of advice is, is to. I mean, as I'm searching for something to say, the what one idea that pops in my mind that I think is very powerful, that I think I first heard from Zig Ziglar when I was a senior in high school, is if you and Cavett Robert really too, is you give away your trade secrets, you help people become successful, you